It up to where it didn't feel like I didn't have to stress, and so we just got to relax as a family. Lily was relaxed. She was able to Photoshop out the leash. Like, you can't even tell that there was a leash there at all. And so we relaxed, and she had the three of us together. Just kind of, she would say, hey, just walk down the beach or play with her, and she just captured photos.
So after the shoot, I'll go home and start editing the very best images from the session, and this is where we'll add our special touch to it, making colors pop and making sure all the details are perfect. I definitely encourage, trying to get all the dogs from the same family into the same photo. Sometimes we'll do like head swaps if two are looking and one is off looking to the side. So they don't necessarily all have to be looking at the same time. They just have to be looking at some point.
Seeing the actual photos is amazing because they look so much better than you thought that they were going to. I mean, the photo shoot, like I said, you're playing and you think, oh, she probably got like one or two, but hopefully it worked out, right? But they were so bright and beautiful, and she caught so many wonderful moments for us. So yeah, looking at the photos was, it warmed our hearts because it did really capture all of our happiness, and it was bright and beautiful. It was great. Carrie was super helpful with helping us sort of plan out the layout of the album. We ended up getting a really nice one. This is even nicer than our wedding album, not gonna lie. It's a lot nicer than our wedding album. And like figuring out which one should go on the front or which one should take up a whole page versus which one should have a border. She was super helpful with that because I'm not very literate in those kinds of things.
I help the owners, find a nice space for the images that they want to print. So I'll help them find the right size based on their space that they have. And after it's printed, I'll come back and hang it for them. It's just a lot easier and a lot quicker if they don't have to do it themselves and they can just sit back and enjoy their art. I know how important Kobe's photos are to me, and the fact that I help them create the same thing for their family is the best part of the experience.
Carrie doing the photo shoots for us has meant more than she probably realizes. Capturing Lily and her personality and how much we love Lily, these photos are forever, right? And in that moment, the love that we have for her totally shone through, and Carrie captured that.
One of our families received a car for Christmas through the Adopt a Family program. I can't believe it. I'm in shock. I think I'm still dreaming.
Both parents and the grandmother are trying to help take care of the kids, cover household expenses, and it's rough. So they're working with the city's financial self-sufficiency program to try to get back on their feet. And they just needed a reliable mode of transportation.
We've been having problems with the engine not starting, and the kids be late for school sometimes, and we've been missing hours at work because car cannot start. We put a lot of money into car repairs, and now we don't have to,
First Insurance, we often come into possession of lightly damaged vehicles, and they're considered total losses just for the simple reason that the cost to repair them is more than the estimated value of the car. So we were thinking, why not repair this car and donate it to a family in need? So we partnered with one of our preferred auto body shops, which in this case was IAEA Collision Center, and they donated their labor, and then Tony Nissan donated parts, and through that collaboration we were able to then partner with Helping Hands Hawaii, and they were the ones who kind of helped us identify a family that could really benefit from having a working car.
Adopt a Family said make a wish list. I think she asked for little things like shoes and toys for the kids. I didn't put a car on our wish list, but we got a car. This is the first time that I'm being blessed by Helping Hands, and thank God. It's a God-sent program. Thank you very much. Oh.
Oh, okay, it's recording. Okay, play. Yeah, that's not it. What happened? All right.
Places, everyone. Lights up, sound go, and we're on.
And so the story goes.
And the magic grows and grows.
Where does it end?
Like no one knows.
Like a seed that's been planted, now we're hidden in your hearts. The story isn't ending, this is where it starts.
Whispered on the wind, the fairy tale begins. Listen closely, it echoes deep within.
And it's waiting there, floating on the air. Take it down now, if you dare. And the magic of the mind is happening to you. Filled with possibilities, there's nothing you can do. Doubt is not allowed.
Leave that all behind.
Believe in the magic of the mind. After we have gone, the fairy tale lives on, waiting for you to pass it on. And the tales you will weave will make someone else believe. Always there for us to share, for us to share. And the magic of the mind is happening to you. Filled with possibilities, there's nothing you can't do. Doubt is not allowed.
Leave that all behind.
Believe in the magic. Believe with the magic. Believe in the magic of the mind.
Thank you, Ross, Nolan, Jamie. Thank you for all you guys do.
Good boy,
I
Emmett.
hope this comes out.
I think that was it.
Miss you guys. Mwah.
I like being at IPA. We get like 2 greets in the morning. We get one from Mr. Ross and one from Miss Carrie. They just give you a lot of like happiness in the morning.
Momi is my daughter, 9 years old, very social, loves to dance.
Always happy, always positive, always just, you know when she's around, you're gonna feel good. I love my high fives for Momi.
Momi's been battling since she was 3 months, several health issues, mostly pertaining to her lungs. When she gets a cold or the flu, it immediately goes into her chest and into her lungs. If she's sick, we're fighting a secondary pneumonia or a bronchitis, and we're in the hospital for days at a time, sometimes weeks. Now that she's been on all these steroids, her immune system's very suppressed. She's very fragile, bones are fragile. There's been some long-term effects. This past year in 2nd grade, a lot of the medical bills that were coming in because of insurance, we had to actually pay out of pocket. In all honesty, we're behind on tuition last year, and we didn't know if Momi was going to be able to come back.
I remember in the summer when we're getting a class list and her name wasn't on it, I was getting a little worried.
It was brought to my attention that because of their financial situation and the cost of health, their health bills, the family is going to have a difficult time allowing Momi to come back to school. Momi was a Make-A-Wish recipient. One of her wishes was to go to Disneyland, and she did that. And then they granted her a second wish, and that wish was just to come to school. And at that point, it became a, gosh, you know, we need to help this family, we need to help this child. And we worked out a situation where, with, again, Make-A-Wish Foundation support, we were able to let her continue here at IPA.
That's what I love about our school, because we can do that. I mean, we have a very strong mission and vision about what we think is best for kids. And we can't do everything, but we're going to try our best.
My daughter's situation here at this school is 100 times better because of the people, you know, teachers, faculty, admin. Whenever she's out sick, they have her work ready for her. She's in the hospital. They will do anything they need to do to get her work to me so that she will have that. And when she comes back, she's not behind, because it's one thing to be sick and then to come back and be behind and you got to catch up on all of that. It's hard, you know, and to know that someone always has my back and has Momi's back and can support our family through our hard and trying times is a big, you know, is a big thing. You know, support is everything, and to get it from IPA is more than I could have ever asked for.
She'll be graduating from IPA in about 9 years. So I think she's got a lesson to teach us all in resilience. And then she's going to make a difference in the world. She's already made a difference for so many of us.
My family will forever be grateful. It's something that will live on with her forever, and I can't be more thankful.
Thank you.
Hula is our basis for this curriculum that we're building. And so, you know, when I learned hula, our definition when growing up from my hula teacher was everything we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and feel. That's what hula is. Well, in Manoa Heritage Center, you can actually go out and talk about the plants, feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. So it becomes real.
I think that it's really good that it's here because we learn more about native stuff because it's all around us.
Anybody know who Hi'iaka is?
Hale's sister?
This plant here on the ground.
Oh well. I blew my teeth. Hey! Our mics are on. You got to hear that I do not have food in my teeth. Jamie's mic isn't even here. Oh, so good. You only heard me ask if I have food in my teeth.
Oh.
And Brian's here. I knew you'd think that was awesome, Brian.
Oh my goodness. Brian always shows up early so he can hear that mess.
Well, hello. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays or whatever term is socially acceptable at this point. We, as you can see, have not taken down our Christmas decorations yet, and Nato is still dressed in her Christmas sweater. But I figure it's allowable until January 1st, and then New Year's, it's like you shouldn't have it up. So we're holding on to
New
this.
Year's diapers.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
She has Christmas diapers.
And it's because not because she is
incontinent.
Yeah, it's because she consciously tries to.
She's vengeful.
Yeah, this is the most vengeful dog ever. Where she knows how much we hate when she pees on the carpet, and she will drop little spots around if she did not have this diaper on, just to let us know what she's thinking that day. So she wears a diaper and she doesn't even go in it because she knows I can't spread forth my urinary revenge on these people. But
like what Ryan said.
She said she's looking fabulous, but I agree it's allowable, and you have to keep up the tree so that the 5 wise men can find the star and make their way to baby Jesus.
We don't know either.
So I wouldn't know what would be on a New Year's diaper though. Fireworks?
That's all I can think of. I don't know. You're just very into themes.
I am. It gives me the ease of mind to know what to wear because it's already like it's appropriate, you know? It's like it's Christmas time, Christmas shirt. I don't know what that says about me wearing a Boba Fett shirt. Okay, so.
Oh, baby New Year!
Oh, that'd be so creepy if she had a diaper with
An actual diaper.
Yeah,
an actual baby
in a
diaper.
Yeah. All right. Well, being that we are just days away from the new year, 2022 is coming upon us. We thought we'd take a look back at 2021 and see some of the lessons that we've learned this past year, which it's so crazy to know that when you think about it, it's been a whole year. And when we're looking at our list of, projects that we've done in the past year just to refresh our memories, we're like, that was a year ago. It feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
So this year, in certain cases, like slowly crept along when things were bad, and then it blew by when things were good. But we had a lot of experiences, a lot of lessons. And so we thought, we'd share them with you. And of course, if you have any that you want to share with us, please, by all means, throw them in the comment section, because I think then we'd feel a little better about ourselves, knowing that others learned some lessons. So before we even look at the list, were there any lessons that stood out to you from this past year?
I feel like this is going to be bad.
Why?
When we talk about this, because it's all of the things that we had fights about.
Brian's going to love that.
Oh, no.
Brian, this episode is dedicated to you. We're going to peel back the curtain and show you all of the messiness in our relationship, both professionally and personally. I did not know this would be a therapy session today, but hey, you know what?
I didn't either.
That's what we do. This is the end of the year. We're dumping out all the junk.
We look like tomatoes. We're so red.
This is terrible. I think it's the camera setting. It might have been set for the camera.
Oh, the actual camera.
Because I think it was
it's on auto white balance.
But I think it was set for when we were shooting, not for live streaming.
No, I reset it.
Oh, Brian says the red is nice. So
we don't look like tomatoes. I feel like a tomato.
Well, the good news is if you get embarrassed, it just looks the same. I think you keep going in and out of red. Like it gets darker and deeper. Anyways, just know that this red thing is not because we're sunburned. It's because we totally screwed up. This is a lesson that we learned to be more prepared and to set up before we go live. This is a lesson that we have not learned completely yet because
in
again,
our 49th episode.
Yeah, what we do is we turn it on and we start doing other things, and then we hear the theme music start playing. We're like, oh no, we're on, and then we look like, oh my gosh, we didn't even set up, and so that's a lesson that we need to learn better, which is to be more prepared, set up early, so that when we're ready to go, we're ready to go. This also goes to what we didn't do again as well as far as preparation, is actually have a prepared kind of set of what we were going to talk about. We had the idea of what we're going to talk about. We printed out some stuff, but we really didn't talk about anything that we were planning to talk about. And that's where you're going to get this beautiful gift of Jamie's blah of all of our problems, because we didn't talk about it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you bracing yourself?
For those of you watching, if you want to send little prayer hands and stuff in the chats, that'll help me feel like you're with me, like you're praying for me. So throw some prayer hands in the chat. Thanks.
By this face.
Okay, go for it.
So this is the first one. We're not going to say these out loud though.
Okay.
But I think that was, we had a big lesson in underpricing plus scope creep. Like
scope what?
Scope creep. Like the scope of the project was bigger. It grew and grew.
Wow, these are terms I've never heard of. Scope creep.
I think that's a term. I don't think I made it up.
Sounds like a cool, indie song. Like
Creep is a song.
Yeah, scope creep. Okay, anyway, so go on.
So saying yes to something because you thought that it would be nice to do or fun to do, and saying yes to pricing it lower, and then once it was priced lower, the project grew. So that was a big lesson.
So little background on this, because I think this applies to other people as well, not just people in our industry, is undervaluing yourself. When we started out our business, we were like, we really don't know how to run a business. We're not sure what we're doing. We don't have a whole lot of clients. And we were starting to get, desperate in the early years, because it's like, we don't have enough jobs to stay busy. And so when opportunities would come up, we're way more flexible with like, hey, this sounds like something that's going to be a lot of work, and, the budget is pretty low, but the experience, we need it. We need some examples of work that we can do. So
But this one happened pretty far.
So I'm explaining
okay
the thought process. So in the beginning, it was a lot of like, hey, gotta do work to get experience, get samples out there, and then once the word of mouth comes out, then the dough will start rolling in. And the problem is that as that happened, and as the projects rolled in, and as the dough rolled in, for me personally, my outlook or self-aware or self-image of us was still kind of in the lower side. It didn't grow in the same speed as our business did. So as we were growing and getting busier and getting more quality jobs and stuff like that, my mind of us was still way back a few years ago, when it was just like, oh, we
desperate.
We're not well known yet and stuff. So when this project came along, while we've been established for a while, the type of project it was something we really wanted to do a lot more of. And so the fact that someone was interested in doing this type of video, we're like, yes. And then they came back with but we have a very small budget, and it was less than what we were already charging, which was already low for, like, we were undercharging for ourselves anyways, because of what I just mentioned. But so I took it because, one, I really liked them. I really wanted to do more of these. And so it was more about like the experience, and, we tried to validate it by like scaling down the scope of work, saying, well, because the budget is lower, we can scale it down by doing these things. And it was agreed upon. And then the project took a lot longer. And as it grew longer, I got more complacent with like sticking to the original agreement. And it was just like, well, you just want to add this. Okay, we'll add that. Well, you just want to tack on this and more and more. And the more I liked them, the more like lax I got about those add-ons, until Jamie looked at it one day and was like, look at what we originally agreed on and look at all this work that I have to do now, which is like here. So that was, and the hard part for her was like, I made all those decisions and the only person who suffers for it is her because she had to do all of the work. Like my work was done. I did the client's relations. I finished the sale. I did the interview. Now it was all on her to do all the editing and stuff. So that shed a light on how we needed to not only perceive ourselves and our value and our worth, but also get really like run this as a business versus like, hey, we're doing this on as a side gig for friends. It's like everything's written, everything's in the contract, the scope of work is written, and if anything above that is requested, then there's a cost added to that. But I think that's the hardest part about running a business for me is
you like everybody.
Yeah. And I don't look at it at like when they say business is business, personal is personal. For me, my business is personal. Like it's an extension of me and I always want it to be like good.
I think that's true for the most part, but then there's some people that take advantage of it because you're so nice. And they don't think of it. I don't think they think of it as like, I'm asking for this, so that means I'm adding on like 8 hours to the work, which means that we can't do other work. So
yeah, I don't think they knowingly take advantage.
They don't do it on purpose.
Because I've done that before too. Like when I was working in, I had my own business and we were printing T-shirts and stuff. And it's kind of similar because artists, like graphic designers and stuff, are kind of similar to us. We're all in the art and creative fields. And so many times I'd be working with an artist on a T-shirt design and I would be like, in my head, oh, it's so simple if we just change this or tweak that. Because conceptually it is simple, but I don't realize the amount of work that goes into making those changes. And it's not just a matter of push a button and it's done. It's like there's a whole lot of process that goes into it, which equates to hours, which equates to money that could have been earned had those hours been applied to something that was paying. So I understand it from that standpoint, but I also understand that for those who don't experience getting to see the behind the scenes, it's easy to not
like, oh, can we just add on this other person and interview one more person?
Yeah, because you're already going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you understand that's going to require us to be there longer? And also the edit time is
that person
exponentially going to go up because you have to create it. It adds a whole new element to a story.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to ask an author who wrote a book to go, hey, why don't you add one more character to this book? It's like, oh, it's not just like you just add a page. Like you got to write them into the whole story. Multiple chapters now are affected. So yeah, that was a good lesson, which I still struggle with because I look at budget as something that is really uncomfortable for me. If I could do everything for free and still live, I would do it, but I can't. So I always feel bad when I have to charge people. And it's such a poor quality of a person in charge of sales that is scared of money.
That my brother told me when I told him in college what I wanted to do was to make videos for nonprofits for free. And he's like, how are you going to eat? And I said, okay, I'll make commercials instead. And now here we are again, trying to figure out.
So you started making commercials, you ate, you got full, and then you wanted to make videos for nonprofits, and now you're hungry again.
Okay,
what's the next lesson?
So I saw this one, and I thought, this is a more basic lesson, but so we had an event, and then we thought we were having a lot of people come and be on camera, and we thought we could talk to them all before the event starts. And the lesson we learned is that nobody pays attention.
No.
Adults don't listen.
Especially adults who are nervous about being on camera. because the tendency for people when they're nervous isn't to be like, I'm nervous, I need to know everything, let me pay attention. It's I'm not nervous, hey, let's talk, oh, let me get my mind off it. And they just start all talking.
I was gonna pretend it's not gonna happen.
And it's like, hey, what the heck, man, we went over this. So yeah, if any of you are planning on doing like something live, tack on an extra amount of padding on your time of preparation before the event, because it's like hurting.
I think it would have been that we should have had like a Zoom call with everybody before.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Like not that day, because that day nobody's listening.
No.
And then like when we did the other event later and people were coming in individually and you would have to walk them through everything. Like you did it with like 10 people just like on repeat over and over going through the whole spiel. Like you gotta have, if you're having a group of people doing something live, you can't just do it when they arrive. Like you gotta talk to them before.
And sometimes, I mean, think about it, there's a lot of information for them to memorize and think of. For you, since you've been saying it over and over or going over it in preparation, you understand, it makes sense. But for them, they're coming in kind of just like clueless. And then you go, blah, stand here, look here, this is what's going to happen there. After that, you walk through here, doing that, and then you go up there and sit down over there. It's like, okay, I forgot the first three things you said. So yeah, in fact, I was like a guest at my cousin's intermediate school. They had a bunch of guest business owners come in and help do an event for the students there earlier this year or this month, and they did like a walk-through Zoom meeting with all of the guests like several days before, so that way we all knew what this was about, what to expect. We got to ask questions and things, so when we got there we pretty much knew, you know, how it was all going down, and that helped a lot because I thought there's only going to be like a handful of us. There's like 20 people in there. I was like, I can't imagine telling all 20 people. And of course, my uncle who was there too, like they were just going over, reviewing some of the instructions and kind of telling.
Who was there? Your uncle was there?
Yeah. I'm not going to say his name on here because I'm going to besmirch him. Because as they're telling us last minute information, he's like, so Nolan, you know, it's so funny. He starts talking. I'm like, dude, they're talking to us. Like, stop talking to me. I felt like I was in school. Like, I'm going to get in trouble for talking in class. And he wasn't the only one.
Write it down. I want to know who it was.
There's also multiple other conversations amongst the adults. And I was like, man, so rude. But that's...
You're going to get busted. Oh! Oh, that's
so
great.
She
funny.
knows who this is. So you know the conversation was pointless. Yeah. Like there was no reason for
but fun. Yeah. Always fun.
Yeah. So that is a great lesson that we just learned.
Yeah.
Like right now.
That school is way better than us.
Yeah. So it helps, especially now with Zoom. It's so easy to get like a quick group meeting with all of your attendees and stuff.
But I think for the organization that's planning it, it's good to let your people know when you're gonna when you're getting their buy-in to be in it, that there's gonna be, you need prep time with them before. Like I think now that Zoom is so easy and all of that, people think like you're asking them just to jump on for that hour, but let them know like I need you for a half an hour before just to get ready. Because that was something that one of our other orgs didn't let their people know before, and then their people said, no, we're not going to do that, or some people did, and that was a real junk thing.
Yeah. So little detail on that is that so when we produce live streams and stuff, sometimes we use platforms that are not Zoom. There are different kinds of video conferencing platforms, which most people have no experience of using, and it can be difficult if you're first time user. So we always tell them like we gotta run you through it first before we go live, just so that you know what to do. And there were certain people who were very like, no, I was contracted to be here from 8 to 9, so I will not come on, a day before and
Or
do the
even
prep,
like 10
or
minutes
10 minutes
early.
early. Like, I'm coming on exactly at 8, and the program was already set, so it's not like we could start them at 8:10 to give them 10 minutes to troubleshoot and all that stuff. And so we had to actually do a whole different setup for them because it was just not worth the risk of them not being able to connect, not being able to see or hear and stuff, and all that because they were not prepped before the buy-in about that. So that lesson of taking, I guess, the convenience of video calling and stuff for granted is a great lesson, because I think we have gotten like really lax about it. Like, oh, I'll just pop on right before. But for these kind of things, especially if people are paying money to attend your event, cannot afford to have stuff like that go awry.
I didn't think of another one yet.
Oh, good. That's not too bad. I didn't get any prayer hands in the comment section, so nobody is worried about my soul.
Because they haven't seen me upset.
Brian's probably like, ooh, I want to see that.
Did he see me upset?
No.
No.
Nah, not at all. No one's really, truly seen you upset.
I think pre-interviewing the person that you're going to be interviewing, the actual person.
Okay, so this could also be...
Not the person's business partner.
This could be a great lesson for you if you're an organization. So it's a lesson we learned, but it's more also important for you. So
I tried to upset her, but it didn't.
Brian said he's tried to upset Jamie.
You did not.
You didn't. You have to know the certain trigger points for Jamie, and they're not the usual ones. I have learned to find my way to those points. It's taken years. But this is a lesson. I'm going to speak from the perspective of teaching you, the organization, this lesson. Just know I'm saying it from we learned this lesson too. So, we've had many instances where, organization will hire us to film like a interview with, somebody for their video, and it's about subject A. And then we'll say, okay, who are we interviewing? And they said, oh, we got the perfect person to interview for you. It's John Doe. So we set up the interview, and we know what the interview is about. We know what the organization wants us to get answers on or talk about. And we assume the person we're interviewing does because they were told to us by the organizer, like, this is the person to talk to about this subject. That's why they're on the video. In this particular case, this person being interviewed was not the person in contact with the organizer. The organizer talked to their partner, the media person at their place. And so that person that the organizer talked to knew everything, knew all the right buzzwords, everything that the organizer said, this is what we want to talk about. That person was like, yep, we got all that perfect. The person, though, that was actually being interviewed knew nothing about this, wasn't a part of that conversation, doesn't even really know what the organization that we're filming the video for does. This person just knows that they're friends of theirs, that they work together, and the person that the organizer talked to isn't even there. So we are there just with the person we're interviewing, and that person knows nothing. And so the interview thankfully turned out okay enough where we could use it. But the whole time,
set a context around it, though.
The whole time, this person we're interviewing is like, okay, I'm not quite sure if this is what you're looking for, but I'm just gonna say this, and then start talking, and we're like, okay, I can see how that works. Okay. But the majority of the topics or questions that we were supposed to go over couldn't be talked about because this person didn't know like what the relevance of that is, or how to connect, or even what that organization did. So So, with that being said, we usually try to pre-interview people we're going to interview on camera. Pre-interview meanings like we call and talk to them a day or two or several days before, so that we can at least, one, introduce ourselves, but also to prep them with the things, the topics we're going to talk about. Hear some of what they think that they could speak about, to let us know that would be great to talk about. Or we can then catch it then and go, oh, that's actually inappropriate. Let's talk about something else. We didn't do that with this person. And the organizer also didn't do that with this person. Didn't even tell this person what this was going to be about. So that is a lesson for all of us to learn, is especially when you're doing like interviews.
Yeah.
Pre-interviews are a must. We're so lucky that it still worked out.
Yeah. I think it was only because we could set a context around it. If we couldn't have the context, it would have just been like, what do we do with this? Oh.
It's so funny because the interviewee kept saying, okay, I'm not sure if this is right. Like every sentence or answer was, okay, I'm not sure if this is helpful. But I guess I can say. That's how each answer was. So we didn't feel confident at all either. All right. Anything else that you see?
You gotta look at this too. I'm running out. I think I had too much coffee today.
Wow, that's a lesson I learned, is before jumping on a Pop Live, Jamie either needs to eat or have her coffee, because if she has zero of the two, it is bad TV.
But I think it's because sometimes I make my coffee like right before we come up, so it's too hot for me to drink. So then I start drinking it while we're live, so I start having the energy when we're done.
But in the beginning, she's like,
why are you talking so much?
So we've seen many episodes with that face.
Oh, sad.
This isn't a lesson, but just something that I just wanted to say that I'm appreciative of, which was this past year, we were really wanting to produce a lot of live and virtual events. And because we thought it was such a necessity for the nonprofit world.
And at this time last year, we thought we might not do anymore.
This time last year, we just did one.
We did two. We did Alice and Hano.
That's right.
Alice and HanoCon. And then we didn't have anything booked for 2021.
Yeah.
So we thought maybe nobody wants to do them anymore because the pandemic is over.
Yeah. Or coming to an end, right? And when we first did it, we're like, wow, this worked great for those first two projects. We're like, this is great. This could be the future of, communication for a lot of organizations. And after Hano, we're like, oh, we're going to get phone calls off. We got zero.
Nothing.
And then the new year started. We're like, oh, man, we just bought all of this equipment and I have nothing. And I am like so appreciative and grateful because as of today, for the past 12 months, we did 23 live events.
23 in 12 months?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Two of them. No, this one.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, minus
4. Right?
Minus 4.
So 19 virtual events.
Plus the panel segment. Like those were sort of.
So we basically did 21 virtual events this year.
That's almost 2 a month.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Going from 0 at the beginning of the year, and thinking that we were done for and had all this useless equipment. So that's just something, just more of a appreciation. Like, thank you. If I know we did one for Brian, but if others of you on here, entrusted us with your virtual event,
snoring again.
we are so grateful for your trust and for your partnership in letting us, handle something so important like that for you.
I think one lesson that keeps coming up is that the pandemic is not predictable.
That is another lesson that we just went over yesterday.
Oh my God.
We have a client, and I'm going to say their name, but they have an in-person annual event that from last year they kept postponing.
From 2020?
Oh, sorry, this past year. Sorry.
21.
It was supposed to be
early 21.
Yeah. And they went through multiple changes of
venue.
Okay, we're going to do it fully in person. Okay, we're going to do it partially in person. Okay, we're going to do it in person, hybrid, and virtual. Okay, we're going to go virtual. Then we're going to go hybrid again. And then in the past few weeks, they said, okay, we're going totally in person. And then we just start seeing, like, literally the next day, like, that spike in all of these Omicron cases. And I go, oh boy, they're probably going to have to reschedule, cancel, or change it up again. And we're kind of joking, like, every time they say they're going in person, like, the case numbers go up. So we're going to tell them, like, stop planning to do this in person. So for the whole sake of our state, we can get back to health. But yeah, that is a lesson that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening is you can't predict, you can't plan, and it's just it's just nothing that you can prepare for. Well, you can prepare for it with the preparation being preparing for. It's nothing's for sure, you know, and create plans that are maybe geared towards worst case scenarios instead of being optimistic.
Because even with the weddings, like there was the in-person big wedding event that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, weddings had to get canceled.
Yeah.
So it's just so unpredictable and hard for planning events even now. Like we had thought earlier this year that people, oh yeah, if you're setting your event for early 22,
yeah,
all good, like
all fine.
It'll be so good by then.
Mm-hmm.
And now look.
Yeah, we're just finishing up on one that was a traditional in-person event. They went virtual, and as we were producing it and filming it, the numbers were coming down and things opened up, and we're almost like, oh man, I bet they're probably like, oh, maybe we should have done this in person. Like,
yeah.
And now that we're days away from when it would have happened, if they had done it in person, we're like, oh, they would have had to completely cancel this thing, I think.
Yeah.
Just to be responsible and safe. And they wouldn't have had anything to show for it. But because they prepared for it to be all virtual, it's gonna be fine. So yeah, I think that's a lesson that no matter what industry you're in, we all had to learn this year. Pretty tough.
Sad.
Not that we need any more lessons, but did any others pop up in your mind? You sound like you have too much joy and excitement in the tone of that.
It's because of the coffee.
As you do that, my heart starts beating faster out of nervousness. Hers beats in excitement. Mine's like, oh, what more is she gonna smack me for?
I know. I think maybe the telling the story, like the I don't know, that's boring. I just like with the where did it go? With this one, that one, like people saying like right now it's so hard to get to know other people. So using video to tell your story is kind of even better now.
Yeah.
Or even more useful now because we can't meet your new significant other in person.
Yeah. So what she's referring to is we prior to the pandemic, we were doing love story videos for engaged couples, and the purpose of it, or the point of it, is kind of like a documentary of the story of how the couple got together and things, not only for a keepsake or memento for them in the future or their future children, but for their guests at the wedding to further understand their history and their personalities and all that stuff. Then the pandemic hit, and we hadn't done any for a long time, but there's a little window of time that there was weddings allowable, and we had actually produced a love story video for this couple, and it went over so well because and some of the feedback was that, you know, the video really helped a lot of these people truly know the couple, or they might know one person but not the other, and it was like so neat to learn about them as individuals but also them as a couple. And we were like, hey, this is kind of like such a powerful tool right now, because nobody has the ability to build face-to-face in-person relationships. And video now, whether it's through like Zoom calls or through produced videos and stuff, like that's the way we're so used to meeting. Like, I think I probably have met less than half of our clients in person before working with them, because most of them was all on Zoom. And like, even when I met them in person, they had masks on.
Yeah.
And I still didn't like it. It was so strange because the quality of the Zoom picture is so different than in person that I was like, you look familiar. It's like, it's me, man. You know, so even like you, Brian, like we didn't meet until the day of our virtual event, but we had multiple Zoom meetings. And I remember the first thing I thought when I saw you in person was, oh, he's so much taller than I thought. Like, I was shocked by how tall you were. But I mean, that's kind of the norm, is that we all just create relationships now through the video screen. Brian says, I've only ever seen Jamie on one day of my life in person.
That's so crazy.
And yet you, based on the way they communicate, you think they're the best of friends. And that's because it's all the power of virtual connections now. Yay, tall. I mean, that's relevant, right? I wish we could just put up Brian's comments in a graphic so that people can see it, because I feel like if I read it, I do a terrible job of it. So if you ever want to see what Brian's saying that we're reacting to, just go to our Facebook replay and look in the comment section. We have another viewer on here, and
they're gonna run away because you're being creepy.
Curious who it is. I want to say, I wonder if it's Jill. Jill and Brian have been kind of our typical viewers, but Jill would have said something. Okay, I think those are really great lessons. Yeah, Brian said, "Don't mention the other viewer." Too late. I did.
I can't think of anything else. Maybe I blocked it out because of all of our fighting.
Yeah, well, I definitely did. And I don't want to relive those. Just know that there were tons of lessons, and I'm sure you all had tons of lessons this year. But I think the main thing is that, and this is something that we constantly struggle with, is that you can look back at all of the bad, tiring, troubling things that happened, and can look back at kind of like with regret or think negatively on it. But something that we're always trying to remind ourselves of is, no matter how bad it was so necessary in teaching us a lesson to improve and better ourselves. And without any of these things that were said or not said, that were difficult and challenging, reasons why Jamie yelled at me and all that stuff.
I just thought of another one.
Okay.
And we almost went out of business this year.
Oh, how so? Like what?
Because everything was underpriced and there was too much and we couldn't pay our bills.
Well, not only that, but we also didn't have a structure of scheduling.
Yeah.
So
it is badly structured.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That was just...
Well, the point of it all is to, and we're working on this too, but if you can look back at all of those problems and things that went wrong, but looked at them not as, oh, I wish that didn't happen, but instead go, I'm glad it happened. Because of that, this has happened.
Yeah.
Because of that, we have improved. And that's what we want to take going into 2022, is taking all these lessons so that we can now improve and make a better version of ourselves for 2022.
Yeah.
And Brian put it well as well. He said, not badly structured in a way to identify opportunities to improve. I think that's far better way than what I said. But yeah, that's exactly it, Brian. I love that. Brian said that he loved the podcast with Jill and someone. That other someone was her brother. It's a great episode, by the way. Tons of hilarious stories. If you guys want to check that episode out, just go to the Hanging Out with Nolan Hong podcast and look up Jill and Kyle. That episode, fantastic. And it'll also make you think that we are really uneducated and dumb.
Oh, that's the dinosaur one.
Yeah. So if you ever want to feel better about yourself and your education, listen to that episode. Jill and Kyle are like, so like, should we still air that? People are going to think we're so dumb. I'm like, that's who we are. Let's own it. We're airing this thing. Yep, dinosaurs
and
their dad
is
stories.
So great. Oh.
All right. Well, speaking of the podcast, we had the privilege and honor and pleasure of having Brian as our next guest for the podcast. We already finished the interview, and we are in the process of setting it up to be published. So that'll be coming soon. That'll be the next episode. I think it's episode 90 something. We're inching our way to 190 something.
Yeah,
we're inching our way to 200 episodes. But it's a really great episode. I'm really excited for it to come out. Brian has some fantastic stories and very inspirational and also informative too, because we talk about a whole bunch of topics. So it's something that will come out soon. Pay attention and it'll come out. As far as Pop Live next, I don't know if it'll still be called Pop Live by then, because we're rebranding, as we told you in previous episodes. And we're changing the direction of this show. So the content's going to be a little different. I think it'll still be relevant for all of you.
Talk about video marketing.
Yeah, but it's just going to kind of broaden our audience, and it has more focus. We're even planning to have it more structured too. So part of the lessons we learned today, get more prepared. Like, we will hopefully apply that.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So, stay tuned.
Totally be an epic failure.
No, it will not be a failure. It'll be an opportunity to recognize where we can improve.
Yeah.
It might be an opportunity for us to recognize where we can improve.
We should make a sign that says that. It's so good.
Yeah. Brian, we're stealing that from you, just so you know. We'll put a tiny little thing like that says your name, like, you know how
No, I want to have Brian's face on it, and he can be like looking at us, like judging us.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Brian, can you please send us a selfie of you doing that face? Thanks.
A judgy face, please. Okay.
All right. Well, this is the last episode of 2021.
Woohoo!
So to all of you, thank you for an amazing year.
Let me complain. Okay.
We wish you a wonderful 2022. Be safe.
Happy New Year.
Take care. Bye.
Oh no. Press the end button.
This is just the perfect way to end our final episode of 2021. This may be the last time we like end it so awkwardly and unprofessionally. So enjoy it while you can, Brian. Bye.